if you're listening to this right now, it's Thanksgiving when this drops.
Yeah, if you're in any other country and just don't travel on Wednesdays. My wife made me go to Whole Foods and pick up our Thanksgiving dinner today. It was a nightmare. There was just 1,000 people inside of Whole Foods waiting for the exact same thing I was waiting for, and I suddenly realized why my wife sent me and my toddler. Um,
I don't
yeah,
envy you.
it was awesome. Then I got Rio Cafe, which was dope.
That's dope. The Rio Cafe is awesome. For those of you in California who've had it, I don't know if they're nationwide. I used to work at Boston Market, and we would do the same thing, where you'd order your Thanksgiving order, and I was in charge of doing all that stuff. Ooh, what a nightmare! People would get upset if you got something wrong. It was great, great time.
Yeah, I think it's a really good like burrito place. They like hand make all of their flour tortillas right in front of you as you're coming up on the line. You know, it's kind of like a really high end Chipotle, like a better Chipotle.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. It has unique flavors.
Yeah.
Yeah, very sweet pork, which I'm not a super fan of, but I like it every now and then.
Yeah, that's why you don't eat the pork, G.
But every now and then I want it. Since we're talking Thanksgiving and sweet pork, I'm not a fan of like honey glazed ham, but my aunt likes to make it, and it's just like it's a savory thing for me. Like what? I don't know. I get thrown off.
Yeah. See, right now, me and Giacomo are trying to readjust. Our flights back from Atlanta were rough, to say the least. We'll kind of go through it like day by day. Giacomo's spent the most amount of time he ever has in his entire life with me.
Yeah, same place.
Sure, I annoyed the holy living hell out of him.
No, I passed out while you and Janice were talking, so it's fine.
That's fair. And then I got back and I had to immediately drive 3 hours down to work the next day, work for 12 hours, and then drive home. It was amazing. 3 hours, 2 hours to drive home because traffic was great at 10 at night. Fantastic. Then I woke up today, and now we're here.
Yeah.
Shane, what was your journey like to the Warhammer World Championships of Warhammer?
Yeah, I just flew like last year. GW set up my flight. It was the one thing they set up for me for my ticket.
Nice.
So I left early-ish Wednesday, got in at like 2:30, and I got picked up from the airport by Ben Campbell, Battle Brothers Tabletop.
Oh,
wow.
And actually, there's a funny thing I want to talk about before I get into anything else of when I was at the Atlanta airport waiting for Ben to pick me up. I don't know if I told you guys this story.
Mm-mm.
I don't think I did.
Nope.
Well, now I get to tell you guys and the whole world. So a guy comes up to me at the airport and he taps my shoulder, and I'm waiting outside, waiting for my ride. And he goes, "Excuse me, sir." He goes, "Are you some kind of a philosopher?"
What?
And I laugh and I say, "No, I'm not a philosopher." And he goes, "Well, you look very intelligent." I'm like, "Thank you." And he asks me if, he tells me he's a monk, and he hands me a book about reincarnation. And he asks me if I'll donate him money and if I'll read the book. And I say, "I'm not going to donate money. I'm sorry." And he said, "That's okay. Just read the book at some point in your life." And I'm like, "Cool, man. Thanks." And then he walked away.
Do you have?
And it dawned on me afterwards, as I was waiting, that he just gave me a book about reincarnation, and I'm about to go to the World Championships and play Higher-Tech.
Yep, that's why I laughed.
Which is super funny to think about. I felt like divine guidance right there.
From the Emperor?
From the Emperor himself, and I still have the book. It's actually still sitting in my luggage. I haven't fully emptied my stuff out yet. But
That's fair. That's fair.
I combed through it. There's pictures.
Mm.
It's one of those. It's a good book with pictures in it. So
Cool.
I haven't read it, but
as long as you do it once in your life, you've done that man right.
Yeah, I've got time.
Yeah, it was a crazy day for us getting to the World Championships of Warhammer. Giacomo came over, I think, after work.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then we were packing and we realized we couldn't fit all of our luggage in the car.
Oh no.
Yeah. So we had to take 2 cars.
Yep.
Mm.
which was fine. The place we went to, luckily, has I feel comfortable leaving my car there.
Yeah. We took them to the Van Nuys flyaway, parked it, and like I was originally looking at like parking at LAX, and it would have cost me like $300 for like the 6 days to hold it there. But we went to Van Nuys, which was much cheaper for 5 days, and then we had to load all of our luggage onto this bus, then take an hour trip to LA, then get off the bus, then travel with all of our big bags into the airport, and they're like, "Excuse me, sir, those are oversized bags. You cannot go over that way. You're going to get custom service over that way." And I was like, "Awesome." Notice how positive this story is. Wait until we get to Atlanta.
That'll be later. Real quick, I want to make a tangent. There was a point when we got to Van Nuys, Dakotah was like, "Did I forget my models?" And we ran back to the car. Luckily, it was there. But I remember Sai and I going like, "What do we do now? Like, we have all 6 bags."
I had a panic attack and I forgot my models in the car because I was like, "Dude, I put my models in the car. I could have swore. Why don't I have them?" So bro, like if I had to drive home and then drive back to the airport, I don't know if I would have made it. It was sketch.
That would have been rough.
Yeah.
That would have been a rough draw.
Yeah. So I sprinted up there and then I walked back and I barely got onto the bus on time. It was exciting.
I did have a moment like that during the weekend where I got out of an Uber and the Uber drove away and I'm looking down and I'm like, I don't have my bag on me with all my models. Oh my God. And then I had about a 10-second panic attack and then just called the last people I was with. And they, of course, had my bag. But, always terrifying. I'm like, I think I just lost my bag and my models to the soul of Atlanta. It's just it's gone.
It's gone.
It's driving away from me, right?
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. When we got to Atlanta, we got on the MARTA, which was a really convenient but hard to find train out of Atlanta, and we were able to get to the Peachtree Street. Little sketch, but it wasn't bad. So we got on. It was like super early in the morning. We got on. It's a bunch of homeless people on the train, but hey, what can you do? And then we got off, and then we got to. I think we got there at 5:30 a.m., which is 3 hours ahead of our time. So we got there at 2:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and then we set up from 7 a.m. So we got to the venue, started setting up from 7:30 until like 3. And then there's this. Oh, I got to pull up this picture. It's on our Patreon.
Oh my God, I know what you're talking about.
So we got really, really tired, and we got real tired, and we ended up going back to the hotel room, and we slept from 3 to 4. Me and Giacomo were talking, and then I stopped talking. And then I don't know what happened, and then I woke up with my phone on my lap because it was buzzing. Because I set an alarm for I think it was like 5 o'clock. We were supposed to go down to go to the opening registration or whatever and meet everyone. So here it is. This is the picture.
Oh my God.
Yep. Don't ask me why Giacomo's on the floor. I have no idea.
That can't be comfortable. There's just no way.
At the time, I was sitting on the couch and I was like, I need to stretch. I can't be in this position any longer. And so I just went to the ground.
Yeah. So anyone who's listening to the podcast, the picture is of me sitting on the couch, just knocked out, and Giacomo laying across our Airbnb's floor, completely and utterly unconscious.
Just out.
Yeah. Completely out.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So for some reason as well, there we go. Make this smaller. there.
That was
Okay.
a good one. That was a really
It was
I
good.
forgot
It was good.
about that photo.
Yeah. So from there, we went and started meeting a bunch of people, and we met a bunch of people from all over the world. We had a great time, and I will kind of go over a lot of my time at the World Championships. We'll go over a little bit of Shane's, but if you want to catch Shane's full rundown, you got to make sure you go over to the Command Point on YouTube and check out his full rundown of the World Championships of Warhammer. Shane, where did you place at the World Championships? Because there's two weird placings. Games Workshop did something a little bit different. They have a best overall, and then they have a competitive. Do you want to tell us where you placed on both?
Honestly, best overall, I don't know.
I'll show you.
Let me go check. I know for competitive, I finished third.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I feel like I must have been somewhat high on best overall. Maybe, I don't know. I think I got like the 1 on the painting point. Like most of the people got 1 on painting.
Most of them did. So overall, US, you placed first overall in US.
Very cool.
I placed third in best US. That's interesting. We'll go over some metrics later. See why that happened. Because I don't know why I placed there. Well, I can tell you. But Shane, you ended up placing 5th overall for best overall in Kill Team completely. So I think you went Dan Barton, Bart Lewandowski, then Javier Escu got 3rd, then Liam Bladwell, and then you got 5th overall. And this overall takes into account your best overall score, your generalship, which is kind of like where you placed in the competitive event, your paint score, how many VPs you scored throughout the event, and then your faction. So if you scored best in faction, you also got a lot of points. I think I scored best overall 14th place at this event, specifically because I did very well in the painting competition, and I also was the only one to bring Death Korps. So obviously I got best in faction there. Everything else was just ones.
I see.
For me, because we'll kind of go over it, but Death Korps are they're fantastic. Fantastic. They are a great team in Kill Team right now. Yeah, we'll go over how I did there. And I think right before I went, I think I said that I think that Death Korps might have play into Death Guard, and I was wrong. I was so wrong. So wrong.
I'm very excited to hear about this. So.
Yeah, I think at World Championships of Warhammer, I kind of made it known kind of the things that I was displeased with in the game, and that's how counteract is being used in the game. I think it's utterly broken. But I had an amazing time. I had amazing opponents, and I lost every single elite game that I played into. It was amazing. Shane, how many times did you play Legionary?
3 times.
Okay.
It was 2 of my 3 losses. And the one I won, it was against Jimmy Kelly running 5 warriors. So
hell yeah.
Was it 5 warriors and a balefire, or 5 warriors and a champion?
It was 4 warriors and then an icon with chainsword and then a leader.
Did he almost beat you?
Well, I would think it was more the Chosen almost beat me, but it was a very funny game.
Uh-huh.
He's playing warriors. He's doing it for fun, and this was the 3rd place game. This is why we were doing this stupid shit. But where he's playing warriors, where he's just messing around. He literally went around to different Legionary players, and he borrowed their chainsword warriors, and he ran the rainbow team of 5 warriors that look nothing alike.
Spain calls them Jimmies, so no wonder why Jimmy ran 4 Jimmies.
He ran 4 Jimmies and then an icon Jimmy. And I ran the Technomancer based on no strategic insight. It was I hadn't played it yet, and this was my last game, so I'm like, I'm just going to run the Technomancer. Won't do that again against Legionary. um, People say the Technomancer is good. I think that's a false statement.
Mm.
I think it's fine. It's like okay, but I think if you play against a Chosen, well, I have lots of thoughts on this. I learned the pain of the Chosen in this game. Like I had already experienced it, but it really sunk in. And yeah, I think you could actually run like 3 models, and if one of them, you could run like a Legionary team of 3 Marines, and if one of them is the Chosen against higher attack, I think you're actually maybe good. I think you're all set.
That's a big claim.
I swear to God, I'm not exaggerating. It feels
I don't disagree
insane.
with you though. Like I've seen it.
That's exciting. Yeah, I have thoughts on Legionary too. I will tell you in depth about the pain that I experienced this weekend, the utter and emotional trauma that I experienced. Man. It was great. In a good way, because all of my opponents were fantastic. I have no complaints. My gameplay was rough, but that is what it is. I went there knowing what was going to happen. I was like, worst case scenario, I'm going to lose every game. Best case scenario, I'm going to win 2 or 3. Our best case scenario, I thought I was going to win 4. So
you came out with 3, right?
I came out with 2.
Oh.
Just 2.
Oh, right.
I won 2 on day 1 and 1 on day 2, and I lost everything day 3 and everything day 4. So a couple interesting things about the event. I know Glass Half Dead just came out with a video. Go check him out. Great content creator. So is Shane. So make sure you check out his channel. But he just came out and posted a video because he was watching. We were streaming the event with Giacomo and Saya. We will be posting the WCW games on our YouTube channel here shortly. Some of them will be edited because there was quite a long time on some games that we had. And if you want to catch our unedited stuff, you can either catch them on Twitch while they're available, or you can catch them on our Patreon, because we will be uploading them to Patreon and they will be unedited there. But he said the last game that came out was 4 hours and stuff like that. But it is Games Workshop's prerogative to do what they want with that. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is that you have to remember that these players are playing to win. They are not here to entertain us. They're not here to entertain anyone. They're here to win. So they will take every time advantage, every advantage that they can in order to win. And we're just there to stream it, and we just follow the packet. So LVO and all of our events will be stuck to 2-hour rounds or 2 hour and 15-minute rounds, because it's not only better to consume that type of content, but it's also better, in my opinion, competitively. But I think Games Workshop definitely has their opinions and their reasons, and I don't disagree with them. We all signed up to go there and play there, and then we let everyone spectate. So make sure that we try to remain positive about that kind of stuff, because if Games Workshop didn't have that, we wouldn't be there. If they didn't invite us, we wouldn't be there. You wouldn't have been able to watch, just like last year. So
shout out to GW.
Yeah, shout out to GW. Thanks for allowing us to come and stream the great event that was WCW. So, yeah, I guess Shane, do you have any questions before I dive in on my shenanigans? And I also want to hear, because I have a couple rules things that I would love to see changed. I don't know how to fix Death Korps. I really don't care. Games Workshop will do it eventually. They suck. It's just that simple. I'm not going to propose any changes to Death Korps. I only want certain things in the game to be changed, because I feel like they're not great. And I'm sure you've heard them before.
So, I mean, I'll be honest regarding Death Korps. I cannot speak to that team whatsoever. I think I've played them once, against them once, not as them.
Wow.
And it was early on, and I don't even, I couldn't tell you what they even, I mean, I know it's Vetguard. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the extent of my knowledge, and I know a lot of it's different.
Okay, I'll give you a quick rundown.
Okay.
And this is why they're bad. Okay. So the team is still 14 models.
Mm-hmm.
I always took hand axes every game to try and chip some people down in case if I got lucky enough. And the hand axes changed to 3-4 damage. The sniper has a stationary concealed gun shooting once, and it does 3-3-3, so it does 3 damage, 3 mortals, so on and so forth. Their spotter got better. Their spotter is remove light and remove obscuring, and has a bombardment now that is 4 attacks hitting on 4s, 3-5 damage, which is nice. Yeah, their demo, their sapper got nuked into the ground. He now has the same exact profile of a bomb, except he has heavy dash. So kind of how you use him is use him at the big end of turning point 1. You run up, you place your mine on your closest objective, and then you dash away. This is how I was using him, at least. I would dash him away, and at the beginning of the turn, I would spend a command point to dash him another 6 inches, or another 3 inches with reposition to hide him 6 inches in my own deployment zone, kind of hidden away. Super resource intensive. Let me tell you, I shot 4 times with my sniper in the entire event. I got 0 mines off. In fact, one of my sniper shots was because I had to turn him to mobile to try to run him up the board. 2 of my other shots that I got with him was because I started playing really aggressive with my sniper, so that on turning point 2, they would like pull up a guy like a rocket launcher and shoot my sniper. And then I could then use only in death and shoot him back. Because that's the only way I could get a shot with him. That's it. So I'd have to spend a command point, because otherwise everyone there is so good, they're not going to give you a shot. Also, because I feel like they have a lot of tools right now that can abuse lower level players in the current scene, as long as you're not playing Legionary or Warp Coven or Plague Marines or Nemesis Claw or Angels of Death. Besides the point.
I see a theme here.
Yeah, seeing a theme. Especially on Into the Dark. Into the Dark was really rough because my very first game was against Christopher Scott Bloor. Amazing painter. He got into the showcase. In fact, there was 4 people on my pod that got into the showcase. I'll show you here. This is Christopher Scott Bloor. He's a great guy.
Chris is cool.
Chris is great. And he ended up playing Death Guard against me. I was in the Death Guard pod. So I had 3 Death Guard players. I had 4 Legionary players, 2 Inquisition, Hearthkin, and Star Striders. Played Chris, and I definitely locked down one side of the room on ITD. And it was like they have really long hallways, right? So I could get my guy out there. I put my sniper, my plasma, and my spotter on one side. And I was like, yo, come to this side. And eventually he was like, nah, I'm just going to literally beat you with 5 Death Guard. And he had one guy hiding behind a door in his own deployment zone the entire game and beat me super easily. Because what he started doing was he'd charge into a room, kill a guy, go on guard. Then he'd move his leader over, go on guard. And I was like, okay, well, let's try and trade. So I'd move a guy in and charge. He'd fight my guy, kill him. I was like, cool, that's 1 guard down. Then he said, oh, I'm going to counteract and go on guard again. I was like, what? You're going to go on guard again? So then I was like, well, we're already committing. So I move another guy in. I was like, cool, I got 1 guard guy down. And he still have another guy with a guard who can then counteract and go on guard again. Well, I sacrificed another guy, and I use only in death. I blow up a bomb. I kill 1 guy, and then I'm like, all right, now I'm going to charge in with my leader. Doesn't matter. Just go on guard again. Cool, only in death. Shoot again. Nope. Okay. I was trading 6 guardsmen or 6 or 7 guardsmen for 2 guys.
Huh.
And then the other guys came in and just nuked me. It was great. He was a great opponent. Couldn't do anything. The next Plagues Marine, I changed my entire strategy. We'll get to that. It definitely was super, super oppressive. My next opponent was Matty G. I literally ran the English Channel. Okay. It was a wonderful time fighting all the English players. He played Legionary and also beat the crap out of me. On this guy,
no.
on Maddie, though, I ended up killing 4.5 Space Marines, and I took kill on my TAC op, which was great, but he still destroyed me. Let me get my scores from the first 2 games.
4.5 is really impressive, though.
Yeah, so Chris beat me 17-6 or 19-6, one of the two. And then I ended up playing Matty G, who was, I'm going backwards in my picture history. That game was also intense because he typically wasn't super aggressive, but oh, I can't see my own scorecard. There it is. So I ended up playing Matty G. He had his Shrive Talon in the middle of the board. The game was extraction. So I knew if I didn't get to the middle of the board first and tap it and at least score 1 point, he was going to go in, put his Grizzly trophy on there, and I would never, ever, ever be able to go inside the stronghold and tap it. Literally impossible. So my first activation, went in there, tapped it. He was like, okay, cool. I'm going to take my leader, move dash to your point, have more AP on it, and tap your point. I was like, awesome. And then his next activation, he tapped his back point. And I was like, cool. Well, I guess I don't got to hide anymore. So I ran at him. I killed 4.5 dudes. I was able to kill and never let him re-secure that extracted one. He still dumpstered me 100%. 9-19. Fantastic game on Volcus. One would think that I'd be able to do a little bit better. My very next game was an amazing game versus Luis, and he was from, I believe, Peru. Okay, let's see here. So this is Luis. We had such a great game. He also gave me the first Space Marine he's ever painted. His first model he's ever painted. Absolutely. He is the love of my life now. Sorry, Saya. Yeah.
What was he playing?
He was playing Star Striders. And I ended up just going all hand axes, reverting to my old ways. And I just charged all of his models and I killed them with hand axes. And in fact, I had so many guys, I was able to like run down his little back guys in his backfield and slaughter them with hand axes. Yeah, I was just running around killing people. That's one of the games I won. So that was a fun time because it was actually pretty tactical and pretty fun. I didn't take the plasma. I took the flamer. I should have taken the flamer a lot more because plasmas suck. So my next game, I ended up winning as well. I played against, I believe it's Matt. There's so many Matts in my pod. He was playing. Yes, it was Matt. We were playing Power Surge. So Matt, I also played.
Oh yeah.
He was playing Hearthkin Salvagers. And Matt, we had a really cagey turning point 1, turning point 2, and I kind of baited him into charging my sniper's nest to throw a grenade. And I ended up regrouping and moving my sniper and my guy, because they were up on a vantage, my spotter away from each other so he couldn't nuke them both. So he just charged them both and he fought. And then my sniper did 4 damage because I did a crit. And then I charged another guy and killed him. And he was like, oh, that didn't work. So that was unfortunate. But I was able to charge him with a bunch of hand axes, fight him in melee as well. I ended up winning that game 16-9. That was my last win, everyone. That's my last win.
Well, you can always say, though, that you were able to achieve a winning streak at one point with Death Korps at the World. I mean,
at one point in time, I was 2-2. Everyone, at one point in time,
a winning streak when you get 2 wins in a row. There we go.
Yeah,
with
it was
Death
great.
Korps. Oh my god,
it was amazing. And then I ended up fighting Kevin Starr. Some of you may know him.
The elites came back. They came back.
They came back hard, my friend. Just let me tell you this run of luck. Okay. So I ended up playing Kevin Starr. Some of you may know him as Sigma on Discord. Amazing guy.
Yeah.
Here's Kevin. That's his smirk of victory after he defeated me brutally. That's not the one. What is going on? He ended up destroying me so badly because he ended up seeing everything that I wanted to do. I played really, really cagey. I still had like 9 models left at the end of the game. And I was playing Plague Marine, so I knew he'd just walk into a room and go on guard. I was like, I'm not going in that room. I'm not,
I just willed that.
I'm just not going to go in there. And he was like, okay, I'll just score all the points. I was like, okay, let me try to figure something out. I'll move some guys around. Didn't matter. And then I was like, I'm going to contest your objective. He was like, cool. I'm just going to move these guys this way, move them here, come back to this door. I was like, okay, well, I can't contest it anyway. You seen what I'm doing? He's a smart guy. He's a smart man. Didn't matter. He just outplayed me, outmaneuvered me, could do nothing. Kevin destroyed me. He was like, wow, the power difference is unreal here. I was like, I know. I know, Kevin.
I feel bad for laughing at this, Dakotah, but I feel like you tortured yourself for 10 games.
I did it for the Emperor. So I ended up playing Kevin on loot, and the final score was 16-9. As we're seeing, there's a 16 or 19 to 9 to 7 type scoring pattern here that we're starting to see. This is how many points elite hordes can score, or at least Vet Guard can score into, elites. It's great. Fantastic. I ended up playing Matt Wilhelm next. Matt Wilhelm ended up playing, we were playing on Intel. I had this like great play set up. I misunderstood the mission. I could have been able to possibly run away with the game because I got the first objective. I tapped it with one guy and I could have picked it up and ran away, but I didn't think that the point moved. I didn't think it moved. I just bad reading comprehension from Mr. Listexia over here. And he ended up throwing up the Shrive Talon, and I was trying to kill his Shrive Talon. I got his Shrive Talon down to 4 wounds. And then I ended up running guardsmen into close combat, hoping to hit him with a crit. And anytime I did hit him with a crit, he would just parry it. And he killed 9 guardsmen because the guardsmen just broke on the wall. I just kept charging. All of turning point 3, just bodies running into his Shrive Talon, just eviscerating every guardsman he could. At the beginning of turning point 4, he charged and killed my plasma. He charged and killed my comms, and then my leader shot him and stabbed him and killed the Shrive Talon, and that's how I was able to kill him. He didn't even use his balefire. It was sad.
He didn't use his balefire.
Nope. And I couldn't shoot him because he was like, I'm just never gonna kill one of your models who has 1 health left. And I'm like, right. And I was desperately trying to kill a Shrive Talon before his balefire could get into combat to heal him, because I knew he could just heal him up. And I was like, he has 4 life left. I have to kill him. I have to do something. No, he strikes first. It doesn't. When your dice don't roll with you, you just lose.
Dakotah, this is so sad. This is so sad.
This is Matt Wilhelm. This is his smirk of victory. Yeah. He was like, yeah, he wasn't a challenge. And because he beat me, he ended up getting into the top cut. I was just helping people. There's nothing I could do. Much worse tournament run than my boy Shane here.
Tragic.
And then I was like, all right, pods is over. Elite's hell is done. I didn't fight against any Inquisition. Surely I'm going to get a Horde matchup now because I'm 2-4, right? No. No.
There's too many.
Nope. Next, I had to play a Spanish player who was playing Legionary. Seer. He was on stream the game before.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, Games Workshop hates me. Played me. This is his smirk of victory. He was so happy to defeat me. I told him, I was like, hey, dude, so this score is going to be I'm going to score between 7 and 9 points. You're going to score between 16 and 19. He's like, no. Let's just play. I was like, of course we're going to play. So we played. Total score was, we were playing secure, 7-16. Called it. Called it.
Oh no.
Against him, I kept trying different things. I was like, everything I'm doing is not working. Maybe something can work. So this time I went like super aggressive. I was like, I know he's going to take ground. I'm going to take ground. We're going to fight over the middle. And guess what? He put 2 models in there. At the last turning point, I put 3 models in there. So we both had 6 APL inside there. I denied him from scoring take ground. You know, it was awesome. And then they all died. And he had 4 Space Marines inside the structure. And I was like, well, I can't I can't put 12 or I can't put 6 models in there because 3 are dead. So he scored take ground. And then he ended up counteracting and killing a lot more models. It was wonderful. It was a great time. We had a blast together. Literally a slaughtering. And the elites don't stop. You guys ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Was it a legionary?
No, it was Warp Coven. My first and only Warp Coven match of the tournament was Serkan Aran. If anyone remembers last week's podcast, I said I really hope he wins the whole thing because I just love his name. His name is amazing. He was playing Thousand Suns. We had an amazing game. Also from Britain. You know, this is Serkan. Also a smile of victory over the Death Korps player. He ended up taking two Zangors and 2 Flamers and 3 it doesn't matter. He just took 3 sorcerers and the Flamers walk up and they're like, if I hit you with 4 dice, your model's just dead because you have AP1. If I hit you with 3 2-ups and any of them are a crit, you got to save a crit. Otherwise, you're dead because they do 4/4 P1. I'm like, awesome. I did this great play. It was so sick. It would have worked. It would have been great last edition. He moved his flamer into the room and he was like, I'm going to go on guard. I'm like, because what I was going to do, I was going to move my Melta, kill a Zangor champion because he was alive on 1 health. I was going to turn around with my Melta and shoot him. And I was like, yeah, that's a great play. But he saw it. So he moved his guy in first. I was like, cool. I'm going to move my plasma way over here outside of 8 inches of range and I'm going to shoot him. He's like, wow, that's a great play. I'm like, yeah, I know. I roll 4 dice. I hit with 3. He rolls 3 2s because he ignores P1. Doesn't matter. I'm like, cool. Let's run in the Melta. Shoots the Melta. Melta dies. I use only in death. Shoot him. P1. Doesn't matter. I think I do like 4 damage or 6 damage. No, I don't think I did any damage with him. And then he ended up coming in, killing a bunch more of my guys. I will tell you this. I only killed 2 models in that entire game. And the 1 model to kill 2 models was just a normal trooper. A normal trooper killed 2 models in melee. I killed the Zangor champion and I killed the Rubric Flame Marine. Everything else died. I literally got tabled. He's the only person to table me. And we just did he was like, he didn't want to table me. So we just did a fading to black, right? Right. We just faded to black. And I was like, yep, that's cool with me. And I still gave it
scene, maybe.
And he was like, we're just not going to know what happened to your awesome guardsman. And he's like, I was like, I know what happened. She turns into a Zangor. He's like, she's going to be my next Zangor champion. So in lore now, ooh, in Serkan's army, his Zangor champion is now known as Jane. It was amazing.
Incredible.
It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. After that game, I ended up playing my final game against Hearthkin Salvagers. This time, I have been in their book 1 too many times. Oh, I also missed Mikey Hood. So I also played against Mikey Hood.
I played him.
Yeah, he was blooded. Yes. And we ended up, sorry, Mikey, I don't have a picture of you in this one. I apologize. He's Australian. Great guy. And I ended up tying that matchup. I tied him. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, blooded versus Vekar. That's kind of like a.
Yeah, I ended up going hand axes and we just ran at each other. And he was like, "Oh yeah, all of my guys like blow up when they die." I was like, "What the what is
Yeah,
this?
it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
a crazy ability.
And then he just like, none of them blew up. He just had a roll for him and none of them blew up. And I was like, this is great for me. But we ended up tying. He took, what is that called? The tac op that you take your opponent's objective.
Storm objectives?
Yeah, he took storm objectives against me and he maxed it. So we tied because I took like contain. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So I took storm objectives versus Sirkan and I was able to score like 2 points of it, right? And because I thought it would be, we lost Giacomo. We lost him.
Where'd he go?
He's gone.
Is he still in he's in Zencaster?
He is. Give me 1 second, everyone. Well, we'll just do this instead. Until G comes back. There we go. Okay. Fantastic. So I then ended up. It did explode, Giacomo. It exploded hard, my guy. So I ended up tying him, and I took storm objectives in my next 3 games because I could only score contain. I only got like 2 or 3 points on contain every round, except against the dwarves in my first game. And I ended up playing against. Let me get his Entrada, Sebastian. He's an amazing player as well.
The Hearthkin player, Sebastian?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
He was in my group as well, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I bet it did.
So, I can't really say it, but it means dwarven fun. Eminatia. Yes, dwarven fun. Let me pull up that picture. Sebastian. So Sebastian was an amazing opponent. He brought it for Dwarven Pride, and he absolutely beat me. I gambled on, it was coordinates, so I gambled on trying to storm his back objective and tap it. The problem is that he has a grenade guy who could throw his grenade and make it cost 2 AP to tap his point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that really sucked because I couldn't score coordinates, and then he just moved all his models over, saw what I was trying to do, and I couldn't score it. So he ended up taking like whatever the stronghold one was and beating me, I think, 19-11. So that was my final loss of the event. But it was all worth it. It was all worth it because I won a trophy. That's right. I won a trophy. It was amazing.
It was a very nice trophy.
It is a very nice trophy. And this trophy's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I enjoy it. I got it for best painted. Not best painted. I got it for best display. And yeah, it was very exciting. My display, I think people have seen it on the channel before. And it was basically a veteran guard in like New York style, but against a bunch of gene stealers.
I think I'm supposed to be getting a trophy for 3rd place, but I haven't heard anything yet.
Yeah, from what I heard, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd are getting a trophy with their names customly engraved on it.
Yeah, they haven't reached out to me yet, and we'll see.
That's fair. Yeah, I hope that's the case.
That would be cool. I don't know. I won the 3rd place game, and then I found out there's a trophy, and I was like, oh, I didn't know there was a trophy. And then I guess there is, but I don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
It is a very nice trophy.
Yeah. So I wanted to go over some of the stream stuff. We ended up pulling Shane on stream during the World's Finals, and got to talk to him a little bit. And I think that hit over 700 viewers between our stream and the Spaniards stream. And that's just Twitch. We didn't even have it on YouTube,
wow.
Which is relatively huge for one point in time. We had a bunch of times where we had over 6,000 unique viewers. So there was a bunch of people coming in and out watching it. But still pretty cool, pretty exciting. I think we peaked at 367, which is, I think, pretty massive for stream for Kill Team.
Yeah. No, that's huge.
Yeah. Did you eat or did you meet anyone else at WCW that you want to shout out or like?
I do want to shout out the people I stayed with. I didn't meet them there. I already knew them. But I stayed with the Canadian guys because as a Western New Yorker, I live about 2 hours from less than 2. I live like an hour and a half from the Canadian border. So
you live pretty high up there, huh?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm like it's like a 6-hour drive to New York City, and it's like a 2-hour drive to Toronto for context.
Mm.
So I go and see the Canadian guys all the time. I go to their tournaments. And so we were like, yeah, let's all just stay together at an Airbnb. So I stayed with George R. Moore, Voyan Jarek, and Alex Arthur. And Voyan's girlfriend is there as well. And then Vivek Ramesh did not stay with us, but he was hanging out with us the whole weekend. So those guys, huge shout out to them. I love those guys. They feel like my locals, kind of. Not my like Rochester locals, but they were the closest thing to locals I had at Worlds. So it was kind of fun to like see them do, because they all ended up doing pretty well. That whole crew. So
yeah, they all took Warp Coven.
They literally all got bullied by George so hard with Warp Coven that they all just gave up and took Warp Coven. Some of them came in with like very little practice on Warp Coven. But yeah, so shout out to them. I mean, everybody I played was cool. Shout out to Jimmy. Shout out to I definitely went. So I played Higher Tech at Worlds, and I went into the tank with Adrian Bonvento and Kellen Foster.
Yeah,
who
you
also
went
took...
into like the named pod, is what I called it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, all the YouTubers except for me were in that pod.
Yeah, it was the celebrity pod.
Yeah.
But me, Kellen, and Adrian in the 2 weeks leading up to Worlds, we were like brainstorming Higher Tech stuff, and Adrian and I were in that pod together. So it was kind of like let's both get out of this pod. And eventually we had to play each other, which was a bummer. But it was a very it was cool. Like the Worlds had all these little moments, and I think like with hanging out with people, and I tried to meet as many people as I could. And when you go to an event like this, it's hard because I mean we were there for like 5 days. That's a lot. And I still felt like I was like, man, I feel like I need to hang out with this group of people and this group of people, and because I never get to see you guys, and I'm like, I feel like I'm not spending enough time with anybody in particular, but I'm just trying to like hit every group and hang out with everyone at least once. Worlds, it's a little easier just because of the amount of days, but man, it's a kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah. I also, at the end of Saturday, I was like, wow, I lost a game, and then I tied Mikey, who's playing Blooded. And I was like, I really wish I could play another game. I know that because I was done at like 4 or 5, it only took like an hour, like our game. So I was like, man, and then people are going to be playing till like 8.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I really wish that we could get for future renditions of Worlds that it would go 3, 3, 3, and 2 or something like that. And then just go like full Swiss, or go 3, 3, 3, but then they're just kind of following LVO's footsteps. And I know that they kind of want the people are saying they want double elimination bracket, which is 5 rounds. And if they do that, you could do 3, 3, 3, and 2, and have everyone else like in a Swiss pod. So,
yeah,
possible, Or I think it actually might be 6 rounds, because if the first place loses, then it's an additional round. So yeah. How did you like the 3-hour rounds compared to the stereotypical 2-hour rounds that we typically play?
I thought it was good for, it's a new edition. People are learning the game. They're learning each other's teams. It's, there's a language barrier for a lot of these players. A lot of these players are like probably still jet lagged. I think with all the context baked in, I think 3-hour rounds felt perfect. 4-hour rounds, they're long, but I didn't really have a problem with it. It was such like high stress games that I was kind of okay with having the extra time. And I'm usually a faster player. And I've always been a pretty fast player. And then I went into my first round of this tournament against Mandrakes, and we were like the last game still going. And that I think that's the first time in my life I've been at a tournament and my game was the last game to finish. It was a very weird experience for me, but I was fortunate. I felt fortunate to have the extra time.
Yeah, I definitely felt that way on a couple of games. I knew I could take a little bit longer. I could be a little bit more cordial. We could kind of shoot it a little bit. I think I took on average about 2 hours and 30 minutes, and I'm relatively fast. I think I've only ever gone to time on Vetguard twice, maybe 3 times in all the events I've ever played. And I almost went to time against Matt Wilhelm, 3 hours. And that was the only time I almost got close on this one. Otherwise I was completely dead. Shane, let me ask you, I won 2 games. I tied once. How many guards? And I only got tabled once. I'll ask everyone in the chat, so everyone can, if you are still listening to this here and now, put a number in the comments or on Discord. How many guardsmen do you think were sacrificed in the name of the Emperor from me, right? For this event?
It's got to be around 90.
90? You think?
I'm going to guess lock in 90.
So on average, you think I lost 9 operatives per game?
That
out of
sounds
14.
Right. It sounds right.
Well, let me tell you. I'm going to give everyone a second to type it in. Take a guess. All right, everyone. People are just going to like write the exact number afterwards. It's going to be great. I lost 108 guardsmen. On average,
man.
Winning 2 games, I lost on average 10.8 guardsmen per game. It was an absolute slaughter.
Jesus.
It was
great. That's so many.
Yeah, it was a lot. I gave a lot of kill ops up, to say the least.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is there's nothing I could have done about it. It's kind of crazy.
Really.
Yeah, I think moving into like some of the rule stuff, or actually before we move into the rule stuff, I want to shout out some people that I went to dinner with, people that I thought everyone was great. Also, Luis was from Chile, so I apologize, Luis. Shout out to you and your family. There was a lot of people there that I got to meet for the first time, and everyone that I met didn't meet the exact description of what I thought they looked like in my head, right? So like I met all of the Australians, which was really cool, right? Liam, I already met Alexa. I met, Mikey Hood. I met everyone, right? And then I met so many people from Mexico, from Argentina, from Chile, from Peru, from England, from France, from everyone from Canada. It was an absolute, and obviously all my friends from America. I think Friday night, what did we do, Giacomo? Are you even still there?
I'm still there in voice, but not in video.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. But anyways, yeah, Friday night. What did we do on Friday night? We went to a Hard Rock Cafe after everything.
Okay. What did we do on Wednesday night? I think we just went home and slept, right? Janice came back and
Wednesday we just slept after setup.
Mm-hmm. What did we do?
Thursday was Hard Rock. What did we do on Friday? Oh, you know what? Oh, actually, honestly, I have no idea. I'm totally
You
wrong.
sounded like you knew.
For a second, I thought I did,
Oh, I don't know.
and then I could not remember what happened Friday because I'm confusing it. I think with Saturday.
What did we do on? Oh, I remember because I wasn't there. I remember, Giacomo. I wasn't there. So Thursday we went out to the Hard Rock Cafe with Janice. If anyone knows me, I utterly despise live music. I cannot stand it. I don't like concerts. I don't like bars that have it. If there's a karaoke thing going on, I'm going to leave. Despise, right? I don't even like to listen to part of the music half the time. I don't want to listen to someone sing it badly. It's part of me, I go to the Hard Rock Cafe. Guess what's going on? Live music. Thank goodness I only had the last 20 minutes of it. I was very upset. And then when it ended, I started to smile. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have a headache anymore. We're good. We're golden. We're amazing.
You lack a soul.
Yes.
I like to listen. On that. I don't like going to places and hearing live music.
Yeah, because then you also can't hear anything because everything's like overly tuned. Like maybe if you went to like a concert with things that aren't too loud, or you have earplugs in, so like because you're like ready for it,
If you go to a concert, you're going
right. That's a different story.
Yeah, I don't like going to a bar and there's like a local, live music thing. I'm not a huge fan of it either.
Okay, good. So we're on the same page. And then Janice was making fun of me the whole time. She's like, "Oh, I can't believe you don't like." I was like, "Be quiet, Janice." So then then Friday night, I ended up having to stay because they took 2.5 hours to judge painting. So I put all my stuff back. They went out to dinner and they all started apologizing. I was like, "Why are you guys apologizing?" in my text. And they're like, "Oh, there's live music here." I was like, Of course there is. Of course there is. So I ended up going there, was only there for like 10 minutes and I left. Saturday, we ended up eating with Mateusz after from Poland. Also, super great guy. We got to know him on a lot of different levels. No, actually, he's a terrible person. He's absolutely horrible. That's how he wants me to talk about him. He told me I'm not allowed to tell anyone anything nice about him. The guy, he's a great guy. Sorry, Mateusz. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I love you. But yeah, we ended up going to dinner. We got to know each other quite a bit. And on Sunday, I think we went out with Orion, Dan, and a bunch of people who went to the Janice, and a bunch of people who went to the narrative. We ate some pizzas. We went out with Brett Bouchard. Brett lost his voice, so he had to text us what he was thinking. It was a great time. And then we left. So, yeah.
Yeah, I did go to, I think it was Saturday night. We wanted to go on Friday night, me and the Canadians, to get barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to go to like a, Atlanta barbecue place, something in the South for barbecue. And something crazy about Atlanta, we were looking at Friday night and like all the places were closing at like 8. And I didn't understand this. So we just went on Saturday instead. Mm-hmm. And we went to this place like Fox's or something barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic, very good food. I think I went to a Mexican place on Wednesday night with Ben Campbell, and we were joined by the French guy, Augustine, who just kind of like went along with us, and we got food there. Really good tacos at that place. And Sunday night, we were all like beat after Sunday, after the awards. They all really wanted to go to Waffle House.
Sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah, we went to Waffle House and we got Waffle House, and then we went back to the.
Did anyone fight anyone?
No, but it got a little testy at some points. There was moments where voices were raised in the back behind us. But
hell yeah.
And then like George and Alex, they had to fly out at like 5 a.m. So we got back pretty early and just sort of crashed. Like we talked for a little bit and crashed. And yeah, it was the whole like experience was a really good time.
Yeah, it was definitely cool meeting everyone, seeing everyone. There was like how many countries were there? Hold on one second.
That's a good question.
That is a good question. I'm gonna guess at least in like.
I would say like 15 or 16, maybe 17.
Oh, really?
I found this
I'm
all
over
game systems. It was 40 countries were there with full of just different people, right? 40 countries were actually just straight represented, which is really cool. And we got to meet so many people, right? Like, I can't even, like, I got to see John again. It's always a pleasure seeing John. George, yeah, I know you. I don't get to see George very often. You know, Vivek, meeting a bunch of U.S. players that I've never met before. It was, and there's so many people. It's just so hard to give everyone a shout out. But let's move on to rules that we found interesting, or that perhaps we would think might not be great in its current form, or at least I will expand upon that. Giacomo, Giacomo, is there anything that you disliked watching? Because you streamed all the games. We didn't get to choose very many games, just more towards the end we were able to kind of start picking and choosing, because it was kind of just like a table number. Giacomo, is there anything that you saw that was absolutely wild?
Absolutely wild? Nothing that I want to mention on here for certain reasons, but the things I disliked was, and it's not a matter of was it good for the tournament or not. It was mostly just a lot of the setup time for players, and I'm referring to the 2 hours, or the first rounds were 3, so the first hour of just like measuring and setting up models where they're going to go. Obviously, that's always a little boring, but we made do. We were talking. We make sure the chat was staying alive. But I get it. You have your hours. You're gonna use all the time. You may as well, right? It's a competitive tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's about it.
Okay. Shane, was there anything that do you want me to go first?
I can go. So, I mean, are we talking about like rulings?
Maybe
or like
not
format.
Maybe not rulings, because I don't want to put any TOs on blast or anything. But you could be format. It could be like particular rules in the game. Like maybe some of the rulings, like some of them.
There's some stuff that are like, I'm not going to blame the judges, because technically it is raw. It's just stuff that I would like to see changed.
Yeah, agreed.
The most egregious one that I can think of, the only moment in the tournament where a TO came over and told me something and I was like, are you kidding me? That's real. Was the on Volcus, one of the stronghold vantages, you might know what I'm talking about, has on the edge, there's like a little nub. It's like that big.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the tiniest nub you've ever seen. And that's little nub is, yes, that little nub is heavy cover. And you need to climb over it 2 inches if you go over it. You can't just walk off the ledge. You have to go over this tiny thing. And it's not even giving you cover, really, because you're already up on the vantage anyway.
Yeah.
All it's doing is you can't like lift. I don't know. Like your model can't lift their foot, a 1/10 of an inch off the ground and step over it. And you have to pay 2 inches to climb it, and then you have to drop. Mm-hmm. So all I know is Travis told me that, and I feel like I just saw red for about 30 seconds. I was like, all right, fine. I can't step over the nub.
That's awful.
It may please you to hear that for the Las Vegas Open, since we have our own terrain, I can't afford 40 sets of Volcus. We will be removing that vantage for Volcus. I think the community, Reddit, and Discord has had enough of an outcry that I'm willing to just remove it from.
Oh, you're talking about the tall vantage, the really high one? Okay, yeah,
the third, and it's just like it can create some feel bads moments, and it's just better if it's just not played currently. Mm-hmm. Unless if something happens or something changes, maybe if they say like you can charge up there and your model doesn't have, like, you can just have your base on there, if your base can fit, you can charge. I don't know.
Yeah.
Our MDF terrain already doesn't have that third part of the vantage. I used to be, if you're going to play Volcus, just play Volcus, if I have a Volcus set of terrain there, the third vantage will be playable. But currently I'm looking at just having the MDF not have the third vantage. Did you have any other crazy rules? Because there was a couple.
There was like, I think a lot of us found out about the reposition counteract with like flying people.
That one was wild. Yeah,
That
that
one
was
is
one of
just
them.
like a clear, obviously that shouldn't be a thing,
Mm-hmm.
but rules is written it was. Although with the Warp Coven, it is not legal, but
Mm-hmm.
people were doing it because
Mm.
Warp Coven fly is only during their activation, which is not a counteraction, but people
Mm.
just did that anyway.
It's fair.
Um,
Mostly on Vespids, right? That you can.
Vespids, the jump pack for Hearthkin,
Mm-hmm.
Mandrakes, I guess they can teleport wherever they want. But yeah, any models with fly, I think maybe the Corsair guy can do it too. But yeah, Warp Coven cannot. And that was actually funny enough the one I saw it like using it the most, just because there's a lot of Warp Coven.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't do that. Don't do
It's
that.
fair. Yeah. So for me, I'll say there are 3 things outside of the fly thing. Hopefully that gets addressed by Games Workshop before LVO. Otherwise, I'm just going to rule against it. I don't think that you should be able to counteract fly. What I'll probably just say is on a counteract, you can't move more than 2 inches. Like laterally, you can't move more than 2 inches.
I think the way to, if you want to clean it up,
Mm-hmm.
because technically the problem is that it says you don't move the model, you pick it up and place it.
Yeah.
If you were to phrase it, the model must end that counteract within 2 inches of where it started. I think that would clean it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. And I think it's just clearly rules is written. I definitely don't see GW sitting and saying like that's how the game is meant to be played.
Yeah, for sure.
And if they come out, then people can sue me or get mad at me. That's all right.
Oh, and one more, but this one I knew going in. I guess they just couldn't write it on like the Word doc that they made.
Mm-hmm.
But higher tech magnification is like still broken. I had to play the whole tournament with like stupid broken version of magnification conduits. Can we please fix that? It's so stupid.
Can you explain it?
So magnification conduits, normally you have a guy here, like your Prentech or your Cryptech or your Prentech is here, and say they can see over here the other one, whether it's the Prentech or Cryptech, or if you're using the equipment, just any engaged Immortal or Deathmark. And they can have, if they can see this guy on engage, they can shoot through him.
Mm-hmm.
And they can measure like the line of sight basically from that guy. Like they bounce their shot off of him. And typically that would mean, like last edition, you just measured everything from them. Like that you drew the cover line and obscurity line and everything. But because obscurity technically isn't tied to whether or not something's a valid target, and it's not called out in magnification, you technically still have to measure obscurity from the original shooter, not the guy you're bouncing it off of. Which makes it way, way harder to get the shot unobscured. And sometimes it would even create shots that would be unobscured normally if you were playing it like it's supposed to be played. But because like my guy is against a wall, he can't even see the target, but I still have to draw the obscurity line and I'm within an inch of the wall. And the guy I'm bouncing it off of is maybe not near the wall. You can just see him and like there's technically a shot there. So it wouldn't be obscured, but like most of the time it hurts you. And it makes absolutely no sense. And I would try to explain it to my opponents, and they didn't really understand it when it was working at the time.
Yeah.
But clearly, you're bouncing the shot off of one guy. You should just measure it from that guy. That's the point. But yeah, as it is right now, you have to check obscurity from the original, which is total nonsense.
That is. For me, I'll give 3 things that I disliked, and it was guarding on your counteract. Was pretty rough because it makes it so that horde teams literally cannot out activate. Like that's what they're supposed to do, but they just literally can't. It just makes it super toxic and feels bad. And then you have what was the counteract fly, guard counteract, and then spells on counteract. I think each spell should only be able to be cast once per turn, and I think that would fix it. Like you can't do a heal and then counteract and then heal, So like you can heal as a counteract, but you couldn't have healed earlier. So I think that's a pretty elegant, easy way, similar to last edition. And then my last one is to fix fly. I don't know why fly has become teleport. You know, you can hide your guy underneath a vantage, but underneath a door, and then he can just suddenly appear somewhere else. They just need to call it teleport if they want it to be teleport. I think that they should go back to last edition's fly rules because they were perfect.
I think that the thing is they want fly to be able to go over like mines and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they don't know how to like word it in a way where it
you just
does
say
that.
Fly does not encounter,
does not interact with tokens
mine
on the ground.
There you go.
I guess you could say that. Because I think that's the point.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
That's exactly the point. And you still give it the limitation on, all right, you can only move your movement stat, or 6 inches or whatever.
Yeah, so for me, that's what I would do because the fly stuff just creates like a lot of toxic play, just being able to be like, oh, I have a Warp Coven sorcerer here that's going to teleport or it's going to fly here and then shoot, but it's great. But that's enough being negative about rules that I particularly dislike in this edition. Hopefully we can see some of them get addressed at some point in the future. And if they don't, it is what it is. It's the game we play. Exactly. But yeah, so I wanted to go over something else. Now that Worlds is done, the Patreon has had our asymmetrical Gallowdark maps for 2 weeks now. So I wanted to kind of go over some of them and see what Shane thought. This is his first look at them. He has not seen them yet, and neither has the majority of people, but I'm going to be releasing them tonight. So
yeah, I'm excited to look at these actually.
Yeah. So I wanted to see what you think. So first things first, this is the packet, Asymmetrical Gallowdark Map Pack. I do have a terms of use. If you decide to use these maps, all I ask is that you credit me and Squad Games and that you also put a link to our packet. The last time we put up a terrain pack, people would just steal it, put it on apps. They would just put it everywhere and do whatever they wanted with it. So as much as cool as that is, when I was meeting people at Worlds, no one had any idea that we were the creators of the first asymmetrical Into the Dark map pack. So it would be nice to people know that we are the ones who created it. And if they're bad, they can blame us as well. So this is a community map pack. So the main thing about it is we want to get feedback. And if you want to give us feedback on some of these maps, make sure you join our Discord so you can talk to us in there. If you're interested in doing them, if you just want to play with them, that's cool too. We will be updating the maps so that they are better and always coming out with more and more and more. So currently we have 5 maps, and as we progress and get more maps, we'll add more or remove maps if they are dog water. So the first thing that we're adding to this is the C1 hatchway, which is the narrative terrain hatchway. For this piece of terrain, you're going to want to treat it as a hatchway, as an open access point. So you can hatchway fight from it. You can move through it. It is just an open hatchway. For me, it adds a lot more flexibility, creating maps and making better asymmetrical maps when you have 2 of these things in the map itself, and it also creates more diverse gameplay while you're playing, right? I think it's really important to expand Into the Dark a little bit because currently it can be really stagnant, and you want to be able to create different lane options so the game isn't nearly as laney. And with something like this, it's a lot easier to create more asymmetric maps when you have an additional one piece, just a 1x1, I've been making these for a while now. To me, it's super important. So this is right here is the map that we will be using. We'll be making neoprene versions of this in the future. So you can get them at our events or win them at our events. But we have our map legend here. This is going to be map number 1. Some people may recognize map number 1 to be very similar to our last map pack. In fact, most of it's the same, but we just added a small bit down here. And we put this here in order to make sure that when I was designing this map pack, I kind of wanted to have a shooty lane, a kind of melee room, and then kind of like a mix, right? And that's kind of like the philosophy that I was kind of going with designing the map pack, because it is immensely difficult to make Into the Dark maps because they're all symmetric. Everything's symmetric. It just lends itself to a symmetrical map pack. This one, it's kind of like this one's kind of shooty, but you can charge it because it's only a 5-inch charge from either side. This one is a little bit more powerful for one side, and this one, the leftmost objective, you can kind of stack razor wire or barricades to try and make that more defensible, because it's fully in your territory. And then the melee room is the one on the far right. And this is the same as map 1 from our last one for anyone who's listening on our podcast, except we added 1C1, which is in the middle of the map, so that it's not nearly as difficult to try and get through that center. Because if you don't have doors on that center, people would just put barricades and razor wire there. Ask me how I know.
Oh, yeah, that was a rough one when we first tested it out at a tournament.
Yeah, we were testing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we wanted to make sure that there's multiple paths to get to every objective and make it as least laney as possible. Shane, what do you think your first impressions of this map so far?
Yeah, I remember this one. I liked it. Last edition. I obviously have not played it this edition with the razor wire and the new equipment and stuff. But I do like the element of having an objective that is not separated by doors on a board on Into the Dark, kind of like that top middle one. I do think for a lot of the maps on Into the Dark right now, it's like, especially
3 large shooty rooms.
Yeah, and especially like something against elites, they can stage very, very safely. So there is at least, like, if I'm playing against legionaries here, I'm going to take red side, and I'm going to try to see if I can punish them on that back objective as early as possible, maybe, like, just to like get the pain train rolling, because I feel like you're kind of on a clock when you play against elites. Like, if you don't kill any of them by the end of turn 2, the game gets really hard.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So I think like Into the Dark being able to have an Into the Dark map where there's ways to engage on turn 1, I think is pretty interesting. At least easier than on the normal board. So I like those.
Yeah, it's interesting. One thing that we saw playing at WCW too is like Into the Dark is the new open, because there's like light terrain now that you could actually mess with. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's funny. I've had tournament games so far in the new edition where we're on Gallodark and both players just end up spamming terrain equipment. And by the time we get to deployment, I'm like, oh my god, this is like a real map. Where we have like 4 light barricades. There's a portable barricade. Somebody put down a heavy barricade. Like there's crap all over the board.
Yeah. So if any of you guys have any kind of feedback when you start playing some of these maps, make sure you again log into our Discord and put it there, and we will try to comb through our feedback. And if they're just great, then hey, that's awesome. Moving on to map 2, I've played this one, and I actually played this one as a veteran guard versus Hearthkin, and I kind of staged really hard. I had red side, which might be the stronger side, and I just kind of put my models on my back objective. This is one that may need to have that bottom left objective moved up half a square, so it's more evenly in the center. But
That's
that
so
one,
interesting.
yeah.
Sorry.
So there's kind of like a big room that anyone can get into, but if you kind of overpower the middle, you can also come in from the middle. The middle objective is very, very strong for, can be very melee orientated. So the leftmost door opens up, so it gives you heavy cover when you open it. I did that on purpose. And you can kind of stage really aggressively on the top blue side to get that. But also all melee teams might want to just push go from red side and push for that back objective. So that kind of right objective is mostly supposed to be kind of like a melee type objective. The middle one's kind of both, and then you kind of have your shooty on the left. Again, this is an experiment. I don't know if these maps are actually good or not, but I know I had a lot of fun playing this. But as a shooty team, I definitely felt like I kind of locked down that left-hand side. Of course, if you have Seek Light, you're already better on Into the Dark than most teams. So, that does help.
Yeah, it was funny you said the red side might be better because the blue side, to me, the blue side looks better.
Yeah.
And I think that's just because the back objective for the blue side is so safe, whereas the back objective for right side is like, I played a lot of novitiates at the start of the edition, so like I'm coming from the perspective of like, oh yeah, Flamer, Seek Light, turn 1, run onto your back objective. It's so easy.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the novitiate player in me talking. I like also that hallway, that meat grinder hallway on the right, the middle hallway.
Yeah.
That is just going to be like, I just picture Krieg guardsmen pouring into that hallway in the direction of an objective and just one by one, just like watching their friends die in the other room.
What, did you watch the feed?
Yeah, did you watch the action? Because that's exactly what happened. I took Overrun, and I took all melee operatives, like the Bruiser, the Hardened Veteran, and I just ran at the Hearthkin. I was playing against Aiden. He's a local out here, and I just like chopped all of his guys apart with indexes, but he was able to get a really good grenade and kill like 3 guys in that meat grinder hallway. So,
oh my god,
yeah, it was exciting. It was a lot of fun. This map to me was a lot of fun playing it.
It looks fun. I would like to play on this map. Yeah.
And the interesting thing about this map is it is a lot of fun. Like from my point of view, right? So, and that's another thing is even if a map isn't terribly balanced, sometimes it's good because it's fun, right? They make this a little bit smaller. So on map 3, this is almost the exact same as one of my old maps as well, but we added a couple extra doors. So this is another rendition of a map that actually worked from the last edition to this edition. We just kind of changed some of the objective placements. And we changed a couple of the door placements. Shane, I don't know if you recognize this one, but this one seems to work theoretically really well.
Okay.
It definitely played well in the last edition, and I think it will play well in this one as well. There's a lot of symmetry with where the doors are placed and how the doors open and kind of how you can get some cover. But also it may be really reminiscent to players who have played this in the past.
I don't know what it is about this one that just reminds me of like, it's like triggering something in my brain. And for some reason it reminds me of like old school, like arena.
Yeah.
I swear to God, there's like an old arena map from like Kill Team 18 that looked like this.
You might be right. And
Maybe
that might have been where I pulled some of the inspiration from for this particular map. Yeah.
This one does look like it plays pretty well though. It's a little more reminiscent, I think, of the regular ITD maps that we have right now. But I would like to try this one for sure.
Yes, this one I think will do well. The next map is map 4. This one is the most interesting. We played this at SoCal Open, but we had to change it and change things in it dramatically because it did not play functionally great. This also reminds me of one of Games Workshop maps and one of their most recent, one of the ones that I played in. But in their map, there's also a room in the middle. But I got rid of that room because the door placement, how the doors open on this particular map is really interesting, and how you can kind of move through the doors, move around the doors, and kind of attack all 3 objectives simultaneously. In fact, I played Jimmy Kelly's Warp Coven on this one, and he brutalized me awfully from red side. I was playing Space Marines, and it just didn't matter. But it was a Warp Coven, so I can't really put too much emphasis on it. This one I'm very interested in getting more testing feedback from. So But this one, what do you think, Shane? First glances, first thoughts.
Yeah, this one looks interesting. I do think the red side seems better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my first thought goes to red side has that wall
Mm-hmm.
in front of the middle objective they can stage on,
Mm-hmm.
whereas blue side, if you want to stage near that in a spot where you can like grab that middle objective, you have to open up that door next to it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're staging there, the other team can like move dash hatchway fight you. Um,
Yeah,
which
Jimmy
is
Kelly moved, dashed, blew me up with a sorcerer, and then dashed again with Capricious Plan and went on conceal. He did like a 5 APL action. It was awesome.
yeah. That's yeah. Sorry, serious.
I love it.
Um, yeah, I don't know, and even then, there's still definitely counterplay coming from blue side. I think you have to be a little more creative on blue side, and you do get that little room that I think is kind of nice, and you can always like flank the objective from that middle bottom room as well instead of just going straight on. Um, yeah, no, this one seems interesting.
A lot of times when I put a lot of these, when I was making these maps as well, I wanted to make sure that players couldn't really abuse equipment too much next to the doors. Because there are some maps on GW where you can just put like razor wires or barricades and just really be abusive in certain ways. So when you look at them, you can see that a lot of them are around that mid central line that are kind of difficult and near a door. So it can be difficult to just like move block things, which I don't know if is a good thing, but it's definitely something that I did intentionally. And
Yeah,
then our final map is this one. This one also has a C1 access point to it, and it's the most interesting to me out of all the other maps. And I haven't played on it yet. I designed it and I built it. It actually has 2 C1s. And I think it's by far the most interesting map setup so far. Some of you guys, if you're missing extra pillars and stuff, you may have to make extra pillars because it is impossible these days to make any GW map or any Into the Dark map without extra pillars. So if you know somebody with a 3D printer or something, or you want to get another set, you may have to print extra sides of pillars. But that's just the nature of the beast at this point in time. Shane, what do you think about this one? And then I'll tell you my thoughts about designing it afterwards.
yeah, this one seems interesting. It's like you have to like go down like an adventure to get to that home blue side objective from the red side,
Mm-hmm.
which is definitely, I mean, that seems intentional because for blue side, getting to the home red side objective seems pretty trivial, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's part of the decision making process.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I like the very standard right middle like murder room for that middle objective. Um, I need to try out these C1s. So just to be clear, you don't have
Mm-hmm.
to operate hatch on the C1s, right? You could just
You
go
do
through
not.
them. Okay.
They're always
They're-
open.
Okay.
So it's almost like you start off with some open doors on Into the Dark, and
My
there's
favorite thing.
yeah, and then there's no doors on it, so there's no extra hiding, there's no extra anything. You can hatchway fight from them.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I just kind of played around with the idea of just having a door that is also, not there. Like how would ITD function with that? And it also creates more flexibility because I can tell you what, you literally can't make this map if you don't have those pieces. And
That makes
if you have them open, it can create like lanes where you can just alpha strike, and which is also not good.
Yeah.
So you can kind of stage a little bit easier, have people on conceal, have people ready to charge with some heavy cover, stuff like that.
I'll tell you what though, every time I look at Into the Dark maps, it makes me like want to play novitiates more. I haven't played novitiates in a little bit since World to Groups.
Mm-hmm.
You
And
feeling the numbness?
yeah, when I took him to New York Open, and I was like, man, I love this team on Into the Dark. I just run forward with Flame Raise and I shoot you turn one, and you can't do literally anything about it. And then I took him to New York Open, and I played one game on Into the Dark, and like the other 5 were on either Volcus or stupid Beta Decima. But no, I definitely I'd like to play on these. Into the Dark is still my favorite way to play Kill Team, and I need variety in that, I think.
It used to be my favorite until I ran into counteract, guard, counteract.
Yeah, that is pretty toxic. I guess I didn't play into a ton of elites, and I was playing higher tech, which is, by the way, not an elite team. I just want to put that on the record. Not an elite team.
I
Oh,
think it's
there's
an
a lot
elite
of
team.
people.
I'll fight you.
I keep seeing people say that it's an elite team. It's not an elite team. And
What is it then, Shane?
It's a
What is it?
mid-range team. We call those mid-range, that 8
Mid-range.
to 10.
Gotcha.
And I know we all hate elites right now, but
we hate Astartes.
Except Angels of Death. I like them.
We hate Astartes. Certainly Astartes for sure.
Jack, let me have this, okay? Can I just say that I took a non-elite team to third? Can I just have that?
Absolutely. Good job, man. You did it. Like, legitimately, you did it,
I think there might be elites.
That's like Schrodinger's like elite team, where like it's they are an elite team. Like, depending on how much you hate elite teams at the current moment and how good Hierotech is will determine whether or not they are an elite team or a mid-range team.
You are correct.
If Hierotech sucked right now, they would totally be a mid-range team, but since they're doing well, they're an elite team.
Mm-hmm.
So is Inquisition then?
Yeah, everybody's favorite elite team, Inquisition.
Yeah. The elites are Inquisitions. I wanted to play against Inquisition. I didn't want to play as many elites as I had to play. I wanted to experience the world.
I thought for sure Inquisition was going to win Worlds, by the way.
Did you?
I was so certain. They just felt so broken to me.
So what's interesting is Jimmy Kelly. He's probably one of the most. Him and Kel team are probably the most competitive team in. Them and Plasma Spam are some of the most competitive teams in North America, and they are locals. And I was hearing from them that Legionary just pretty much dumpstered Inquisition whenever they were playing them. And that because Jimmy was going to he was thinking about bringing Inquisition to Worlds for a short amount of time. And then he couldn't beat his son, Jeshua, on Legionary. He just couldn't do it. So he said he just couldn't, he either wasn't good enough which probably wasn't the case, or he just thinks that like a really well Legionary, because that's the same problem Australia had. I was talking to Sam, and they said that they honestly thought that some of the Horde teams like Inquisition were just super good until they realized that there's just not really many great elite players in Australia. And when you ran into that, I mean, unless if you're Matus, right? Because he lost one game by one,
Right.
Yeah.
It's definitely like one of the cool things about Worlds is you see the meta differences a little bit. I think outside of like the West Coast guys, and even some of the West Coast guys who are used to playing against it, the common thread in my games playing Higher Tech is that nobody had any clue of how to properly play against Higher Tech. Even in the games I lost, it felt like sometimes my opponents were just like at a loss for how to deal with the Psychomancer. And I think that part of it is the Psychomancer. I think people were not tuned into how good that model is. I've heard a lot of talk about the Techno going in, and Chrono is like, he was the good one last edition. Chrono's my favorite, but I only played it twice. Psycho is, I think, the best. And if I had more reps going in, I would have felt a lot better about how to play against Legionary with Higher Tech, because I think that was the big trouble for me at the tournament. And by the time I think I cracked it, it was like the tournament was over. Mm-hmm. It's definitely Psychomancer. Psychomancer is like very, very good. And it definitely felt like the English guys, like I played Guy Barton, who was running Higher Tech. We played in the top 16, so he had a mirror match. And he was telling me that he likes playing the Technomancer a lot, and he had played it, I think, most of his games. And I played Adrian in the group stage, and he was probably the most prepared for like Higher Tech, I think, of anybody I played, which obviously he's playing the team, but he also was more tuned in, I think, to the Psychomancer stuff because Kellen was very on the Psychomancer train. But like even when I talked to Jimmy, who's practiced against Kellen a lot, Jimmy kind of stemming from his experiences playing with Kellen and talking to Kellen, he was saying he thought Technomancer was the take into Legionary, on open board at least. And I really think that like you just can't beat Legionary without Psychomancer at all. If it's like a really good Legionary player.
Mm-hmm. I could see that. Yeah, I mean, Kellen also did really good at the event. I think he went like 8-2 or 7-3 or something.
He had a very good run.
Mm-hmm. And you could just see the power of Hyrotech. I can probably. No, I don't think I can. Oh, I can pull it up on my phone.
Gotta love those death marks.
Oh yeah.
God, I need to rant about this really quick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you know the death mark ability where if you shoot a guy, they get a token, and then for the rest of the game, death marks treat that guy with seek, basically.
Mm-hmm.
This came up one time in the tournament for me, and it was in the semifinals against Escu from Spain. And I didn't realize this till like the day after the tournament. But on the second turning point of that game, and this game is on the Spanish stream, so people can go watch it. On the second turning point of that game, I was able to shoot his anointed in the middle of the board with my death mark. And, you know, he lived. And then I shot him with a psycho, and he lived. But he was down to like 3 wounds. And next turn, and then with counteract, he moved that anointed like into heavy cover because he was on conceal, so that I couldn't shoot him again. And he put a smoke on him and everything. And the next turn, Javier won initiative, and he gave it to me because, you know, to him it didn't look like I had any shots, so I couldn't threaten him really without like moving my Psychomancer up within 2 inches of his guy and just blasting myself. And I completely forgot that the death mark gets seek against the guy that he shot. I just completely forgot. And Escu clearly had no idea, or else he would not have given me initiative. So like I'm sitting there with initiative, and I just like comms buff a guy and give it back to him, and then he has his anointed shoot and run in back into his fortress, and then I had my psycho walk up to the door and hatchway fight and like throw my Psychomancer into like the wolves of his team. And I literally could have at any point just shot that guy with my death mark and probably killed him in the middle of the board so that I could get my confirmed kill, and then I wouldn't have had to throw my Psychomancer away, and the game just would have been so different. And I almost wish nobody told me about that because
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I had a couple of those moments too. Those are the ones we try to forget.
Yeah. Would have been a completely different game. I don't know if I would have won, but it would have been an absolutely different game. And it's like, because normally you shoot something with a death mark and it doesn't survive to the point where the death mark's activating again and choosing to shoot something. But with Legionary, they just don't die. So
yeah, it's pretty rough. Now, we're going to move on to our final part of the thing. I wanted, Shane, you like numbers. You like stats, right?
Yeah, stats are cool.
Stats are cool. Cool. So MetaWatch is going to be coming up here soon, our next episode. But I wanted to give you guys a sneak peek to what our top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams. There are currently 7 teams above a 55% win rate. There are 15 teams below the 45% win rate, and there are the majority of them are in the 30s and below. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
That's bad.
And then I'll have you take a guess at Death Korps' win rate. So guess what team is the number 1 win rate currently right now? Now, I will tell you, Legionary have by far the most amount of games. Secondly, Warp Coven. And when you have the most amount of games by far, they typically start to trend down towards 50% because they play each other a lot. Just so you know, it's not Legionary.
I don't think it's Legionary. I feel like it's It might be higher tech, but maybe it's not higher tech. I feel like it's something weird like void dancers.
You are correct. You are correct. They have a 61.81% win rate currently.
Big brain players play higher tech
with 162 games, and I think that's specifically because they do have play into those elites. They also play into other things, and they also deny kill op. So it's just like a really strong team overall. So they can just win and dominate. Maybe they can't dominate like the best players in the world, but they can definitely poop all over your local metas.
Yeah, they're very good. It's like I've seen some people say that higher tech belong in the tier with like Legionary, Warp Coven, Inquisition, and I think if you're playing like Blooded or something like Hearthkin or something, anything not like A tier. Anything below A tier, like B tier, like any balanced team, playing against higher tech, they probably feel that way.
Homie, there is no B in balanced. There's no balanced. There is S tier, there is A tier, and then there's D tier. Okay.
So, yeah. if you're not an A tier, basically, if you're below A tier, higher tech probably feels like the same thing as playing against Legionary.
Yeah.
But if you're playing higher tech and you're playing against Legionary and Warp Coven, it feels like there's a tier between you and I can tell you that.
That's fair. That is fair. Second up in the highest win rate is Plague Marines with a 60.94% win rate. They have a total of 95 total games.
Okay.
There's total data right now of 3,100 games currently. Warp Coven is the next, and they have 332 games, which that means they have over double what Higher Tech have, and they still have a 60.45% win rate, which means that they're playing themselves a lot, and they're still winning everything, which is crazy.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Novitiates are next with a 59.55% win rate.
Oh my god, novitiates are so cracked. It's crazy that only like one person brought them.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you could have given me an assurance before Worlds that I wouldn't have to play against Plague Marines, I would have taken novitiates in a heartbeat.
Do you think that they beat Legionary?
I think I think it's a better game for me than Higher Tech into Legionary, personally.
Okay. That's fair. Okay. Now, Shane, there's a lot of people that just don't understand. There's a couple people that in our past tier list videos and stuff like that, they just don't understand how novitiates can get nerfed and still be S tier. Can you give us just a quick reasoning as to why they are still really good?
I mean, they just have crazy dice reliability. And you pair that with like some of the most durable models, period.
With all their healing and dice fixing for defense.
Yeah, if you get into a spot where all their buffs are on, like their defensive buffs, like the damage reduction, like you get the fight onto the middle objective, and their healing. The healing is the most important thing. If you can get all that like clicking, they are like crazy because they have the offensive output to kill anything pretty reliably outside of Plague Marines, I think. Mm-hmm. I think they can kill Legionaries decently well just because they have the ability to just force crits very well. Like you can push like 2 to 3 crits through on a lot of your attacks.
That's why Hearth can do well into Legionary too.
Yeah. And novitiates are faster than Hearthkin outside of the jump pack, and they're a lot tankier than Hearthkin. And also Blinding Aura is like it's like a top 5 firefight play in the game.
Ability for sure.
Yeah, it's just so like restrictive to the opponent and how they're able to like interact with you. Like you have to just like you either have to like never ever take a shot outside of 2 inches, or at some point you do, and you just sacrifice all your tempo, and you just hand it right over to the novitiate player. They're awesome. They're really, really good. I just think they suck into Plague Marines. It's like their only bad matchup. I think they beat Higher Tech, honestly.
Yeah, Plague Marines are super strong into certain. They're really oppressive into certain matchups just because you can't kill them. Next up, we have inquisitorial agents with a 56.55% win rate. They have a total of 196 games, which is quite a lot. The next up, with the very few, so take this with a grain of salt, is Wormblade. They only have 40 games though, which is half of what Plague Marines have, right? So they have a 55% win rate. So I don't think that that's really a viable statistic, because obviously there's a couple really good players playing them. Maybe they have some play, but not particularly great. And then finally, in the last place for 55% win rates is Legionaries with 465 games. That means that they have 3 times as many games as Higher Tech Circle competitively. They have a 55.34, and I think it's lowering itself because Legionary has to play against itself so many times, which then puts it down, lowers the average to 55%.
Yeah, I wonder if you were to cycle out, if you filtered out the mirrors, if they would be the highest win rate.
They possibly could. It's either, I think Warp Coven would probably beat them in that, but unfortunately it's impossible for us to we'd have to manually go through it, and it's just
sounds like a lot.
Yeah, it's just difficult. We already have to do everything manually right now because there's a lot of TOs not putting in the correct metrics, so it's a little, the statistics are a little rough right now. So going to Death Korps, they are 1, 2, 3, 4th from the bottom. Bottom, the last place team, has a 0% win rate in competitive. 0.
What is
they
that?
have never won a game competitively. That is Imperial Navy Breachers. Now, all of our all of our statistics, statistically are pulled from 16 player events and 4 or more rounds. So, if you've played an event and you don't meet those metrics, your statistics are not available in this. The Breachers have only showed up to 1 event. They have 10 games. He didn't win any. That thus is why they have a 0% win rate. Now, what is your what win rate do you think Death Korps have?
I'm going to fire from the hip. I'm going to say 28%.
Close. It's 24%.
Oh my God, I overshot.
Close, yeah.
You overshot,
Holy
my guy.
Oh
Kasrkin have a 20% and Pathfinders have an 18%. But we can just ignore Pathfinders. They can stay there.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. Pathfinders stink.
Yeah.
Are they really? Do you think Death Korps is better than Pathfinders?
No, because if they played my Pathfinder list and GA2'd all their operatives and just counteract when on guard, it doesn't matter. All of my vet guard would just die. 4 or 5 damage, doesn't matter. They just die. 2 hits go through, doesn't matter. No, I think Pathfinders are better than vet guard.
Okay.
Personally.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I would agree. I think that, like, if you were to buff Pathfinders, I think
Plus,
you should
-1 operative.
Well, that obviously goes without saying. I think it would be cool to, like, because they now have 4 tiers of marker lights. I'd say add a 5th tier and have the 5th tier be +1 ballistic skill.
Okay, yeah.
I always thought that was so easy to access and it was so powerful. Like, it was like the 2nd marker light or something.
Yeah, wait, is that not one of their basic ones?
No, they don't have
lost
that anymore.
That's why they suck.
But
They're
that's
always
dumb
hitting
as
on
hell.
4s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, except when you play into Legionary, you hit on 5s. And let me tell you,
Yeah.
it sucks. It is awful. If your team was not designed to hit on 5s, hitting on 5s sucks.
Mhm.
Can I just quickly, if we're ranting about Legionary, can I just quickly explain what the Chosen did to me in the game
Yes,
against Jim?
please.
Yes.
So here's what the
Point it out.
Chosen can do if you're playing higher tech. And this really, it goes to any team that doesn't really have good melee. So if the Chosen charges one of your guys on turn 2 and hits him to, like, be one-shot territory, and, you know, maybe he gets 1 crit in the process and just parries out because they don't have good melee, and he's gonna heal anyway.
Right.
Then that guy that he charged can't fall back. I mean, he can try, but it's on a 3-up, and then he doesn't get the fall back because the Chosen has that for some reason. So you just assume he's not going to fall back. And it's even worse if the chosen charges 2 guys, because then both of those guys would need to try to fall back, and he'd have to fail both 3 up. So that's just not happening. And if you try to have that guy fight to like just die, and then maybe then the chosen isn't in combat, so you can shoot him. The chosen will just parry out, and you'll be stuck further, because this is presuming your team without good melee, like higher tech, or like Death Korps, honestly, or Pathfinders. There's a lot of teams like that. And then next turn, if he kills that guy and charges 2, I guess to get the most disgusting image in your head of how bad this is, imagine it against higher tech where there's only 8 guys, and he kills that guy next turn and charges 2 more guys. They can't fall back. I can't fight and have them kill him, because he'll just parry out, and like maybe he'll crit me once and then heal the minimal damage I just did to him. And the other guys, all I can do, I can't do anything. I can't fall back. I can't fight and have them die while fighting, because he could just choose to parry me. And then next turn, he double fights and kills those 2 guys and charges someone else. And it's like, you cannot interact with the chosen. You can't do anything about it. He will just run a train on your entire team. And he can like solo the whole team. Like I played against Jimmy, and this is where it all like clicked for me, like how insane this was. And he did this to my Technomancer, and like fought him down to 1 wound, and then I couldn't fight and just kill myself on him, and I can't charge. God forbid I want to charge anybody else in. That's the worst thing I can do.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then like he kills the Techno next turn, charges 2 more guys, and I'm like, I don't actually know what I can do. And at this point, I'd killed 2 of his warriors, and he had 3 other warriors that might as well have been sitting in the corner of the board, while the chosen 1v8s my entire team successfully. I can't do anything about him. The only reason I was able to win that game is I don't know if Jimmy just pitied me, or if he just we're in the 10th game and he just forgot. But I'm like, I'm just gonna have these guys just fight, and maybe he'll roll low on his heals, or maybe I'll get lucky and he won't roll a crit, or he'll just whiff completely, and maybe I'll somehow kill him with an immortal, even though he's a full health chosen. That didn't happen, but what did happen is he just decided to kill those guys instead of parrying out. So then I'm like, oh crap, I can shoot him now. So I moved my death mark out, and I shot him, and I had the other immortal come out and finish him. And I'm like, oh, I just have like 3 warriors now. But if he had just parried out, it's over. I can't do anything. The other warriors can just go back into his deployment zone and play checkers or something, and the chosen can just wipe my entire team out by himself. And I think that broke me a little bit.
Shell of a man.
Yeah. Now, we didn't get to hear a lot from Giacomo. Giacomo, I want to ask you this, Shane, as well. What was your favorite moment of of everything?
Oh, can I go into spoilers? Yeah, people already saw the VOD. It was the melt-a-shot.
The melt-a-shot at the last game?
It was the best moment of the game, not because the shot was cool, but because the reaction that, Spain had on the other side, like literally casting next to us, just like everything paused for them, and they suddenly saw the end. Like the screen went dark for them, and it was like, this is the game. It's literally over now.
And they started shaking their heads.
Yeah, we're not coming back after this. This is like, we're dead. And that's exactly what happened after. And Dan turned everything around, because I honestly thought Javier had it. Like, it was like, all right, he's got it. He's melt-a-shotting here. It's over. He's got it. And then the world just turned off. Like, it was my favorite moment of the whole thing.
That's fair.
In addition to meeting everybody, and of course the painting part was cool. I liked going through that and seeing all what people are doing.
Doing the painting stream.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive to see what these guys are pulling out. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. How about you, Shane? What was your favorite part about Worlds?
I think my favorite moment was in groups when Adrian and I got paired. So I mentioned earlier we had been like brainstorming together in our pod higher tech secrets with the hope that we could both get out. But at this point, we'd both lost to John Reese's Legionaries, and it was becoming increasingly evident that only one of us was going to get out, and it was probably going to be the winner of our game here.
Mm-hmm.
And we just sit down and we're like, oh, this sucks. It's a higher tech mirror match. Neither of us have ever played the higher tech mirror. Neither of us have even thought about the higher tech mirror. And we've told each other all of our secrets, and I'm like, we're just going to run the same crap. And we go into the muster and we reveal our teams. And I say, I'm running the Chronomancer and 2 Death Marks and 2 Goss Immortals. And he goes, oh, really? He goes, I'm running a Psychomancer with 4 Tesla Immortals. And I'm like, holy crap, we're running completely different lists. And we played that game out, and he played it completely different for me. I went like full murder. I just wanted to kill as much stuff as I could. And he maybe attacked me 3 times all game and just tried to score points.
Wow.
And it was a very low scoring game because he took Secure Center for his TAC op and he got 2 points on it. And I took Contain as my TAC op and got 2 points on it. And we both made our primary our TAC op. So we both got 1 point on primary. And I won 10-9.
Wow.
Was it because of kill up?
It was kill op, yeah. He beat me on crit op, and we both tied on TAC op, and I think I got like 5 on kill op, and he got like 1 or 0.
Wow.
Yeah, it was he just went full murder. I killed a lot of guys turn 4, so it was very cool. But that game was really fun. That game and then to make it funnier, the next day I had a mirror match against Guy Barton again, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to take that cool list I took against Adrian and go full murder. He's not going to see it coming. This stuff was so good. And then Guy puts the same exact list across from me. So we had a match mirror, and it was a true mirror match. We just had different TAC ops, and that was it.
That's fair. Fair. Yeah. My favorite thing, I'll say 2. So my second favorite thing was winning that trophy, because I had no idea I won a trophy. Like they're like, everyone sit in your seats. First, second, and third get to come up and take a trophy. And they called me up, and there was like a pause, and I didn't think anything of it because I didn't know I was supposed to go up there, and I completely just didn't go up there because I just didn't know. And then I went up there to get my best in faction because I was the only Death Korps player there. And they're like, oh, you have something else up here. I was like, what do you have? Like some kind of medal? Like what's going on? So I waited up there until the end of the ceremony. They gave it to me. And that was like a dawning realization that I won something that was actually like super like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's something I can't make, and when I win something that I can't make, because I have a laser cutter and I have a bunch of stuff, like that was a really fun moment for me. But, and then I walked out and I was like, it was all worth it. All those dead soldiers
for this one.
There you go.
For this one moment in time. I like a movie trailer was going through my mind. It was great. It was really like, pretty emotional, pretty cool. Also because like I am like a hobby champion, it felt like I didn't abandon the hobby to chase the competitiveness, and then me doing so well and their best overall just showed that Games Workshop also felt the same way with hobby and stuff. And it just was like a more realization to myself that I did end up doing the right decision and not playing, Angels of Death or something else. But my actual favorite thing was when I played Luis from Chile, and him giving me, he enjoyed his game so much with me that he gave me his very first model he ever painted. To me, that really touched my heart. And because I don't know about you guys, but my first model I ever painted is put away in my case, and it's very special to me. To see it, look over, and whenever I see it, brings like nostalgia, like how bad it was. I have like my first 3 models, right? My first model I ever painted, my first Eldar Guardian that I turned into Batman, and my third Eldar Guardian that I also turned into Batman.
I've got the first model I ever painted right here.
Let me see it.
I'm pretty sure it's this one. I can't say with absolute certainty. It was one of these orc boys, and it's this guy. He doesn't look good. Let's see if we can get him.
Yeah.
He's so dark. But,
I'm colorblind. He looks black. He looks black.
He's not black. He actually does have like a dark green and like
I
a
see
leather.
the dark green.
I can't see it.
Yeah. And he's one of many. There's
Yeah.
like a few of them over there. Going
Amazing.
back to Kill Team 18 when I got into it.
Yeah, but to me, like somebody giving away something that means so much to me, like just hit me different, you know? And I was like, almost made me cry.
Yeah, that's so nice. That's so like, wow, that's like touching.
Yeah. And like Aiden gives away painted models all the time, but this was his first one. So I know that I have his first model ever, and his name is going to be Luis, and I'm going to paint a team around Luis and have him on stream eventually. But yeah, it was a really cool moment for me. And also I would say, seeing how successful, I guess top 3 for me, then I apologize. You guys, you're top 3. Seeing how successful Giacomo and Saya was, streaming, and all of the glowing reviews that the stream got. You know, I spent a lot of time on Wednesday night. I spent like 4 hours at the computer, like adding more things, adding elements, adding like a bunch of extra stuff than we typically normally don't have. And just like seeing all of the work start to pay off and everyone really enjoy it. And then seeing Giacomo and Saya do really well was a really big moment of triumph for me. And I didn't have to hold their hand. They just did it themselves because they're awesome, you know? So.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you guys did a phenomenal job. I mean, it was so cool to see that, especially after last year and without really having a stream. I mean, we had the Spanish stream, but not having an English stream. And just in general on the East Coast, not having a lot of streams up until like NYO recently. I think like having the high quality games available to go back and watch. Like I've already gone back and watched the game between George and Bart.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm planning on going back and watching more. And it's just like awesome that we even have that available to us. So thank you guys for doing that.
Yeah. Thank you, G. Thank you, Saya.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun for us.
Yeah. Do you guys have your other top 2 moments? Cause I droned on. I apologize. Making this longer than it needs to be.
Oh man. I don't think I have like one moment that I can think of off the top of my head. It was like, I think playing George in the top 8, it was heartbreaking, but because I think George has been like one of my main practice partners for the better part of like 2 or 3 years now. And I've watched him get so much better over the past
So have I, man. I saw him at LVO year 1 and then year 2 and then here. I'm like, what's happening to this man? Why is he so good?
I've always thought he was so good, but there was just something like a blocker in his head when he would go to tournaments where I felt like it was like a mental thing. And it's like he's really overcome that in the past 6 months, especially. I mean, because he got his golden ticket at the Chimera GT and he beat me in that process. And then he went and won NYO, and then he was just like unstoppable through Worlds. And so we got paired in the top 8 and we were both like, oh, this sucks. Like we wanted it to be us. Like we wanted that world to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately it did not happen.
No.
And just in general, seeing all the Canadian guys do so well. I'm not going to represent Canada as an American. Who would do that? But
totally not Jimmy Kelly.
But I did feel like a sense of camaraderie because all those guys were rooting for me as well, and I was rooting for them. And until I played George, and then they all turned their backs right on me immediately. But
sure, that was a lonely sleep that night.
Yeah. No, but they were all cool. It's actually funny. I was sleeping in the same room as George. Like we were sleeping like 4 feet apart. And my room at my Airbnb was funny, by the way. It was like our Airbnb was like a 2-story house, and then you go up to the second story and you go into the bedroom. There's 2 bedrooms. You go into one of the bedrooms, and there's like a spiral wooden staircase that goes up into like another hidden room.
Oh.
And you go up there, and that's where my room was. and it's like a hobbit house. It's like a teepee. Like the ceilings are so low, but like you go into the back and there's like a queen size bed back there and a TV, and it's really nice. And George ended up sleeping on the air mattress in that room with me. So I was like, he's not going to strangle me. He's too nice of a guy. He's not going to kill me in my sleep.
Do you think he was thinking the same thing?
I don't know. I hope.
He's like, Shay's cutthroat. He's literally going to murder me tonight.
Yeah. But no, it was great. I mean, the Canadians were. I feel like I'm one of them almost, but yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, they're great. They're great Canadian guys. Yeah.
Last thing. The Infinity Fit that Dan was wearing at the end.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. That was so funny.
Dan grew into himself so much.
Yes.
He was like really stiff on stream the first time we had him on. He played 4 times on stream, and he just got more and more loose. And then for his final game, all of his dead opponents came up and gave him like the Rat Man's jacket. The Rat Man. I love that guy.
The Rat Man, man.
The Rat Man's jacket, Jimmy Kelly's glasses. What else did he have on, G?
The Welsh flag.
The Welsh and the Filipino flag, yeah.
Yeah, Welsh. Yeah, yes. John Reese's flag.
John Reese's flags. Yeah. He
was
needed it to win the finals.
Yeah, and he's like up there singing.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Crooning in my ear when I put the headset on. Like, what is this?
He was doing a lot of ABBA tracks for a while on the first time, the second time he was on.
Yeah, he's a maniac.
Yeah, it helps him keep calm, I think. So like that works, you know.
He's a killer player. I wish I got to play him, honestly.
I don't want to deal with him. You could play with him. I lose.
I would love to play Dan one day.
Yeah. I would too, one day. Not with Death Korps.
No.
Yeah, probably not.
He might enjoy it.
Well, I bet he'd have a great time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Shane, I'm going to give your channel and your Discord a shout out. Make sure you guys go subscribe to Command Point, join their Discord, and make sure you join their Patreon. Shane, do you have your other shout outs you want to give out?
Yeah, if you want a more in-depth breakdown of my games at WCW and my thoughts on the tournament overall, we did a video, and hopefully it's out by the time this comes out. If it's not, stay tuned. It should be out soon. And yeah, I mean, we are like on the cusp of 10,000 subscribers. We are at like 9.8 thousand right now. We're like 200 away. And keep your eyes on that. We are super stoked to almost be there. And also keep your eyes open because it's almost Christmas time. And that means 12 days of Kill Team. It's going to be a lot of work, but I can't wait to do it.
Yeah, that was a blast. I was guested last time. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's a great series that you guys do.
I've got a good host of names ready for this year, I think.
Ooh, he's
Good.
gonna
like it.
Good. I'm excited. G, what do you got?
Well, you know my spiel. You can join the conversation by going on our Discord or commenting on the YouTube video if you're watching it there. You know, tell us what you think about all the stuff that went down at WCW. You know, check out the VODs. They're on Twitch. They'll also be on YouTube at some point. You know, it's a lot of fun to do this stuff for you. So we really appreciate you watching, whether you're a patron, whether you're just a viewer, whether you're a Twitch viewer, all that stuff. It really helps us out, and we really appreciate it. And you can find us on, here on our YouTube channel, Squad Games Entertainment, on the podcast that you're listening to, from whatever thing you're listening it from, on Twitch at Squad Games Entertainment as well. You know, we just hit 1,000. That was awesome. Thank you guys for that. That was big. That was a big moment. And on Instagram, it's squad_games_entertainment. And last, I want to make a shout out to, I want to make sure I get his name right. He's one of the twins.
Alex Arthur.
It was Alex, yes.
Yeah.
Alex, you know, he came up with a few friends. He said hello, and he really appreciated what we did. And to me, that was like the first time I had seen that at the tournament, and that was like a big moment for me. Like I felt it in my heart, and I just wanted to shout him out. You know,
Alex is the best.
He's a great guy.
He's so great. Him and I shouted out George a lot, but him and Voyan, who I also stayed with, just great guys. Vivek, awesome guy. I'm going to go see them in less than a month at their team tournament up in Toronto. And then they've got another tournament in January, like the weekend before LVO, that's going to have like 40 players.
Wow. Yeah.
Over at the new Torchlight Gaming location in Ontario that is apparently pretty big. I'm excited to go see it. They just have a very thriving community and a really good, like very, very good group of players there. So if you live in Canada, go check that out.
That's good. And since we're on the topic of tournaments, if you want to hang out with us or see us or join on the, get into the tournament scene and maybe even be on stream, check out the 2 tournaments we have coming up. The first one being the West Coast Champions. That's going to be up the weekend of the 14th, December 14th, up at Metal Packet Games. So we'll be streaming it there. If you saw it before, you can be there yourselves. And of course, the biggest one, we have LVO coming up. That is January, the weekend of the 20th, I think, if I'm getting the dates right. The tickets are selling out. So if you want a chance to do that, please consider it. I think we might still have some narrative tickets left since we got a little bit of a boost. I'm not 100% sure, so I would check that out as soon as you can, just in case. Otherwise, the Grand Tournament for Kill Team is going to be there as well. And we have a lot of things happening this time for the Black Red event. And that's all my shout-outs.
Yeah. For mine, definitely check out LVO or the West Coast Champs. Again, those are our next 2. We'll be streaming both of those events, like G said. Stay tuned to our YouTube channel. We're going to continue with battle reports and continue with making more Kill Team content and painting and hobby content. So if you guys are interested in that kind of stuff, make sure you hit the subscribe button. I think we're at 1,700 right now, and we are growing quite quickly. So hopefully we can keep that trend going. If you want to see more stuff, more unedited battle reports, and even more battle reports that we don't put to YouTube, we do have exclusive Patreon battle reports, usually of me losing horrifically so far. But they are fun, enjoyable. You can join that, and when you join that, you also get access to our Patreon only part of our Discord. So and early access to maps and map packs. So thank you for listening. Thank you for, if you got it this far. Let's see here. What should they say in the comments?
108 deaths.
108 deaths is what you should write.
Yeah,
specifically with a D capitalized, and then we will know that you listened to the very end. Or you could have skipped here, and hey, that's cool. But yeah, until next time, everyone.
See ya.
Adios.